Welcome you, sir, again.
Friends, good morning. In the last lecture, I just introduced the subject of carbon capturing. There I emphasized that since energy is the main requirement, both in the process industry as well as in transportation.
मुलाना अपना सर माइक ऑफ कर लीजिए. एमएमयू मुलाना अपना माइक ऑफ कर लीजिए.
So, since energy is needed, and this non-conventional energy is still a far cry, competitive it is not so as for the fossil fuels energy is required. So, in another coming 50 years at least, we will be more dependent on fossil fuels, both in solid, liquid form or gas form. And since they are all carbonaceous in character, and oxidation is the rough process route for energy generation, so lot of carbon dioxide and other gases, they escape as a flue gas from that setup. Earlier, the attempts were that we used to trap these, rather we try to control this, and end up, say, at the end, we try to treat these flue gases. Various processes like cyclones for unburnt, like absorption, scrubbers, have been in vain in the early stages. No doubt we can remove some of the gases, but still removal of that used to cost, both in terms of equipment as well as for running the show. In a present socio-economic character, it is very difficult to control. You may have the equipment, you may have the technology, but industry being the trade, putting in this utility services to control, like electricity, chemical, water, etc. Nobody wants to part because in a cutthroat competition in the industrial belt, they used to try the evading. At that stage, at a later stage somehow, a thought came of the sustainable developments in which some process redesignings, recyclings of the materials, etc. took place. But what had happened, most of the sustainable developments had taken place in the water field, not much in air pollution control. No doubt, attempts have been made in 90s to control this air pollution through redesigning of furnaces, etc. The reduction of these gases, which you used to say, which warm the climatic and cause the climatic changes. I introduced in that lecture that if this carbon, if we can somehow sell, then this itself can be looked as one of the products, and it has then impact on reduction of the cost of the product, the major product which the industry wants to make. And in that light, I mentioned 4 previous, say, projects of India, like Delhi, Metro, and so on, Haldia, then Andhra Pradesh, and so on. Today, I will proceed further on that. Earlier, it was more of a concept of carbon footprints, carbon leveling, LCA cycles, and so on. Today, what we will be doing is how we in India took up this case, and with a case history of a minor modifications, how this carbon trading can be done and foreign exchange can be explained. I will expose to some case histories in this lecture. You see, this is, I mentioned, is a very vibrant market at present, resulting millions of tons of carbon dioxide has been trapped at this stage, at this even late stage. say around 2010, 2012. Now the figure is around 270 in 2012. So trade in the credit has a potential to make profits. So that is what we are looking in today's lecture, how this profit is. And it all comes from the economic development. Any economic development of a country, energy, as I said, is the central sector. And energy intensity is influenced by the stage of economic development. How much economically we develop, it means how much energy we are consuming. So industrial speed, the energy use will continue to climb because more of industrialization, more population, more need, I said, because basic needs of food, clothing, shelter, health, all they have to be processed. Their needs will increase as the population is increasing. It means more industrialization is taking place. And when the industrialization is there, it means energy, more energy is needed. So this will continue to climb rapidly, or because ultimate aim is electricity use. We convert, say, we generate electricity and we use that electricity in most of the process, day-to-day life. Otherwise, coal, fuel, petroleum, or the gas, they becomes in the process sector a major answer. Now, when this action is there, means burning of fuel. So let us say in this room we are burning. First will be a pollution of emission of these gases in the local environment. So we say it is a local air pollution is there. If we expand this envelope, you will become a regional, long range. For example, in Mathura, there was a foundry, acid rain was there, felt at even Agra at Taj. So regional, so regionally. And then there is a global effect. So local is there, regional is there, and a global effect is there by the same activities which you are getting. Activity may be small, activity may be large, but cumulative effect will be there on air pollution and this warming. So over the next 20 years, most of the increase in the energy consumption is expected to be, as I said, from the fossil fuels. And price of the fossil fuels, you see, they are still low. We may say 1,000 rupees a ton coal, but still it is low. Its energy is low, is economic compared to if I have a same unit from solar energy. It is a costly affair yet. It may be alternative, but as far as cost is concerned, fossil fuel energy generation is still the cheapest. So it accounts, it means when cheap is there, industry and day-to-day activity will always take this route because money is the main consideration. So 85% of the total energy consumption at present is from the fossil fuels. Production of energy by burning of the fossil fuels generate, as I said, lot of carbon dioxide, but along with the carbon dioxide, other gases are also there like methane, nitrous oxide and so on, which are having a higher warming potential compared to carbon dioxide. And so they cumulatively give a warming effect to the climate change. Now this shows the approximate distribution of the different gases on emission on a standard global level. You can see carbon dioxide is the maximum, 54% around. Then chlorofluorocarbons are there, methane is there, ozone is there, nitrous oxide is there. They are in that decreasing order. So primarily it means carbon dioxide is there. The other gases are also there which have a higher warming potential. They contribute much more, but quantity-wise carbon dioxide is higher. Now, business as usual scenario, if we consider, these are the figures. Somewhere in 2000, this was the figure taken, 59,000 million tons was there. In 2050, it will be 13,300 tons. And in 2100, it will be 15,900 million tons. Ton I explained, it is 1 ton of carbon dioxide produced by burning the coal. That becomes the 1 unit of carbon credit. So world over there is a country, say, consensus that rise in the global concentration of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, particularly this methane, is a very high warming potential. And NOx, our last century has been primarily caused by activities, and activity is only one, that is the fossil fuel. So majority of the scientists believe that these rising concentration of these greenhouse gases, now cumulative is greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide is also one of them, are over the riding natural variability of global climate. It means potentially it leads to some climate changes, and these changes are irreversible. They are not reversible at that. Whatever is put in, some changes have taken place, and these changes cannot be undone. Now, this transparency just shows the warming potential. You can see carbon dioxide, we are always taking 1 unit. As I said, carbon dioxide is 1 ton of carbon dioxide. That is a unit for trading. But see in this figure how the other gases are. So for example, fluorinated species, 22,200 compared to carbon dioxide one. So it's 1 mole emitted gives 22,200 times more warming compared to the 1 unit of carbon dioxide. So amount might be 6% in that slur, but its contribution to the global warming is far more. Secondly, these all gases are reactive in character in the climate and more reactive compared to the others. And because of that, more irreversible changes taking place in the environment. So these gases, which are other gases, we say, you should not consider that they're too small, 6%, 7% or 10%, but they are the bigger challenges compared to that of carbon dioxide. Now, these are the climatic changes impacts. The water resource may change, human health, biological diversity, climatic disasters. It may affect our agriculture, it may affect our sea level, oceans, coastal areas, and so on. Now, according to this European Union India Summit, way back in 2005, it took place in Delhi, and its whole proceedings have been, say, listed by the Financial Times on the 9th September 2005. Full review is there. It's a long review, and according to that, in that, the prediction in 2005, I will say how it came true at later stage. It says that India will suffer lower rice and wheat yields, say rice production, wheat production, there will be a decline. That was the prediction in 2005. Coastal floodings will be there, and more cases of health, malaria, or longer periods of drought. They are all results of climate change. Now, over the span, if you know, just scan your mind, tsunami has come because of climatic change. Maldives are depleting. They are on the brink of oozing out from the world map. It's a climatic change. Lot of drought are there. Climatic change. Lot of flooding is there. The weather pattern has changed. Cropping pattern has changed. These are all because of, and it means the predictions which were made at that stage, in that conference, by those global scientists which were, say, assembled at Delhi, had made a right predictions. Because at this stage in 2014, we can feel whatever they had predicted in 2005, we are now witnessing time and again at some part of the world, at some part of this, even in our country, these things are happening. So it means there was a concern about this climatic change. I mentioned this carbon credit somewhere by a Canadian John has gave in 1968, but that was just an exercise which the individual scientists have made. But the concern originated more of on the global level in somewhere in 1990 or later on. Because of that, an Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in June '92 sets an ultimate objective of stabilizing the atmospheric concentration of greenhouse gases at a level that will prevent dangerous human interference with climate change. I mentioned that in 1990, under UNEP, over the scientists, they start thinking that look, if this type of the emissions continue, these predictions, they will be disastrous in climatic change. 2005 was much later on. They predicted because of the trend from 90 to 2005. Otherwise, in 1990 itself, there was a disastrous changes started. And they thought that, look, enough has been done. Now we should make some attempt that this level of 1990 should be maintained at least. No further degradation. We may fail. We have tried to decrease it. We have tried to control. To some extent we control, but still there is a climate change and there is still, we have not achieved that target. Anyway, in 92, the first summit took place where they took stock of that balance. That look, at the existing level, we have to control these carbonaceous gases to be thrown into the atmosphere. So such level should be achieved within, they said, in time frame sufficient to allow ecosystem adapt naturally to climate change to ensure that economic development proceed in sustainable manner. You see, in 1990, production was there. From 1990 to 2000 and from 2000 to 2010 and so on, production will increase. When production increases, energy is required, energy has to be produced. So these gases has to be thrown. Now what they say, that look, you should use the energy. You should not stop the industrialization, but the industrialization, this production should be in a sustainable manner. Sustainable means whatever you are throwing at least should be grabbed. Grabbed in the form of forest. Grabbed in the form of trading. If I am putting more, somebody is less, so I just transfer my credits to that. That was the concept I explained in the last year. So it means the total effect, net effect of the energy with this rising industrialization and rising need of this energy, we are trying to balance it to sustainable manner. Its typical example I will mention towards the end of this slide itself from the local area. So that convention then divided the countries of the world into two main groups. Listed in Annexure, they called Annexure 1 known as parties and Annexure 1 and Annexure 2 parties. Annexure 1 was industrialized countries, means more production, more energy requirement, more emissions. They are developed countries that have historically contributed to most of the climate change. And the per capita emission of these Annexure 1 parties, means developed countries parties, developed societies parties, are higher than those of most developing countries. Annexure 2 is developing countries, which have less industrialization, less energy output requirement, less carbon dioxide emissions. So there are two groups, you can say, two trends. One is making most of the major contribution to the carbon dioxide emission, the other less. So who is monstrous? This developed country. They are more responsible for warming up of these climate changes causes rather than the developing country. So they divided this into two groups. Now here comes the need of concept of carbon reduction credits. So large differences in cost of abatement between developed and developing countries that offer an opportunity for mutually beneficial cooperation. It means the two becomes the partner. In both are, you see, climate change is for all. I may be emitting more, you may be emitting less, but cumulative effect is affecting both of us. So both of us are concerned about this global warming. I cannot afford being poor, right? But you can afford. So a general consciousness has come, okay, You can afford, I cannot, so transfer some money to me. For your excess payment, which for excess carbon dioxide, which is the cause of extra damage to climatic change. So that is the concept of this carbon reduction. So the principle of equality, both are equal, but not all. Common but differential responsibility. We too are equal partners for checking the global warming. We are equal partners to check the climatic changes. But we are equal, all right. But are we? But responsibility is differential. Your responsibility is more because you are contributing more towards the warming than me. So we are all equal, but common but differential responsibility. So that is enshrined in this convention. And say, therefore, you require these parties to take the lead in modifying longer term trends in emissions. So both have to join. It is a cheap slogan, we are all equal. We are not equal. We are equal as far as concern is there of climatic change checking, effect of global warming, say, reducing. But our responsibilities are different. Since you are contributing more, you are more responsible. I am contributing less, I am less responsible. So you have to pay extra to me in order to make a balance over a global setup. So that is what we say is global control and management of greenhouse gases. Now, Kyoto Protocol is one such treaty which had taken place, and India adopted that Kyoto Protocol as such. Now, Kyoto Protocol is an international treaty. It has to be approved by the government, not by executive order. It has to be through Parliament. So this Kyoto Protocol has been accepted by India, under which this trading can be done, and it is through the Act, Parliament Act. So India opted, all countries have not opted, but majority of the countries of the Commonwealth at least, they have adopted it as Kyoto Protocol for this trading business. Now this document contains two annexures. One which gives the outlines of the gases and source of reductions. Each gas, whether it's chlorofluorocarbon, whether it's methane, whether it's nitrous oxide, whether it's carbon dioxide, what is the source? And what are the limits at which you have to keep it? So that is you can say a mandatory guideline that beyond which you cannot amend. So that is what we say is annexure A. And annexure B is specific reduction amounts for specific countries, depending which type of the developing economy is, so they have. So under this, as I said, India became a signatory to this Kyoto Protocol. Under this protocol, a market for greenhouse gases has been set up. It is an international protocol, so international trade can be done. Means I can trade with America, I can trade with UK, all those listed countries I can trade. These two I just mentioned because they are the major European countries as well as America, they are major contribution for these greenhouse gases. So one estimate based on national communications, so this I have taken in 2010, every say 5 years this data is revised. 2015 again it will come. Up till now it is 2010. Here you can see the European countries. They have 27.9 metric tons, whereas non-European countries, they have 128.5. America, for example, has 427. If you exclude America, USA, the total is 172. Alone USA has 423. You can see how much industrialization, how much energy consumption, how much the output of carbon dioxide and gases are there. So 1:4, 1:3.5 and so on. So America became a country which has to pay to the other countries in order to have its obligation fulfilled, to have a climatic change check over the globe. Now, setting a market price for carbon. I said market price, 1 ton unit, we said. So, raising the price of carbon will achieve 4 goals. It will provide signal to consumer about what goods and services are high carbon ones and should therefore be used more sparingly. In the last period, I mentioned carbon levels. That gives an indication to the consumer's mind that what type of the good I should take, what type of the services involved in that production I should prefer. That is through carbon level. So that is one link in that direction. Now it will provide signals to both producers about which input use more carbon. Producers means industrialists, industry. So they may use coal, oil, or which may use less or none, means some may use only natural gas or nuclear power. There is no carbon dioxide involved in that. So it depends what type of fuel the producer is using. And thereby you can say inducing the firms to substitute low carbon inputs. Because when there will be a feeling in a producer's mind that I should use that fuel which gives low carbon or practically no carbon. Nuclear fuel has no carbon, for example. Solar energy has no carbon. Hydraulic energy has no carbon. Wind energy has no carbon. So there is an attempt in the mind set and the producers, so that will be one to achieve the goal. Then third is it will give market incentives for inventors and innovators to develop and introduce low carbon products. So research scientists will go in that they should develop those processes which gives less emissions. And finally, a high carbon price will economize on the information that is required to do all three. The another is, for example, government may tax it. One is the incentive that you can sell the carbon credits. The other is government tax it. By the tax sphere, you may not produce more carbon. But taxation is not the right thing. Socioeconomic, there can be cheating. Second, it may be an extra burden on the product cost. So the first route should be taken that this carbon dioxide which I am going to emit, I must take and trade it and get that money so that my product gets reduced. So advantages of tradable carbon credits over the carbon tax I just mentioned. The price is more likely to be perceived as a fair by those paying it. Investors in credits have more control over their own costs. More control on costs. For example, tax is a direct cost, direct burden on the cost. But by innovations, by research, or by having this bent of mind in my that I should use that fuel which gives less carbon, I think I can control the price of that product. So that is your first. The flexible mechanism of the Kyoto Protocol ensures that all investment goes into genuine sustainable carbon reduction schemes. Wherever there is a scheme, you will try to adopt because that will lower the emission of carbon. And if correctly implemented, a target level of emission reduction is achieved. Those annexure 1 and annexure 2, annexure A and annexure B. Target was given in annexure A, how much it is, that can be achieved. And it provides a framework of rewarding people or companies who plant trees or otherwise sequester carbons. I said, if carbon dioxide there, you do the plantation, you do the forestation, again you are reducing the carbon content and thereby reducing the global warming and hence the climate change. Now, they were for carbon credit. Advantage of carbon tax, possibly less complex. You need not bother about that, simply pay. Expensive, time consuming to implement. Taxation always is time consuming. You will find out the routes, how to say have a less tax. So you need the auditor and all those things. So it's a complex problems. So of course there is a reduced risk of certain types of cheating, but in both credits and taxes, but cheating is more in taxes. So we never prefer a carbon tax. Our approach should not be that we should pay the tax. That is the ultimate Hegelian law, dictatorship that I will put if you are not doing any sustainable business in your productions. So, mechanism for achieving this target reduction. Target reductions were in our annexure A. They are listed in literature, not everywhere they are available. So, there are three mechanisms for achieving the target reductions: joint implementation, international emission trading, clean development mechanisms. There are three methods, in fact. India opted for CDM. In the same Parliament Act, we adopted Kyoto Protocol to be adopted, signatory to UNEP, Government of India. There itself, under clause 2, we had, okay, we opt for CDM, clean development mechanisms. So my all case histories are through clean development mechanism because India has opted, others we are not opted. So our all projects are accredited under this CDM scheme. Now you see the meeting commitment under protocol. Now carbon dioxide emissions are given in the FCSA. You can see on a global level now we are talking. In the top project based on reduction by joint implementation. The another is by IET and third is by CDM. You see the top three strips. By those we have the baseline which we wanted to keep. So actual will be an attempt by all these techniques over the globe. Any country, some country may have GI, the another country may have the IET, the third country may have a CD. All countries, anyone can be adopted. The total accumulation is the actual, that target we want to keep. Otherwise, you can see this blue, it will go on rising. GI, what is the joint implementation? It is a project-based mechanism developed under Kyoto Protocol. All the three are under Kyoto Protocol. It is designed to assist annexure 1 countries, means the developed countries, in meeting their emission reduction targets through joint projects with other annexure 1 countries. It means in America, there are two companies. Both are developed. One is giving more carbon dioxide, another less. so they can trade among themselves. That is what we say is joint implementation. Means within the country, in the same, within those listed in that annexure 1, those countries, this is the technique. It project can be implemented between capped industrialized countries, means those are capped in that annexure 1 category. One or more investors, investor can be government, investor can be companies or any other, will agree with the partners in a host country to participate in the project activities which generate emission reduction units, ERUs we call, in order to use them for compliance with target under Kyoto Protocol. It means it is within a country or between the countries under annexure 1. They can trade. That is one methodology. Two companies in one state are there. One is emitting more, the other is less. Both can trade to a targeted level. The joint implementation says emissions from the host country are limited under Kyoto Protocol. Projects reduce emissions in the host country and free up part of their total amount, which can then be transferred to the investor company in the form of ERUs. It means two companies are there. Let us say I am a Tata. So Tata's units are there. One unit is emitting more, the another unit less. From the Kyoto Protocol angle, you can trade. Each is an individual unit. Their balance sheet should have an independent balance sheet, but they can trade. That is what we say is joint implementation. Now, international emission trading, it is a flexible mechanism of Kyoto Protocol, which allows the trade assigned amount units among annexure 1 countries. This is joint implementation was within a country, different countries. Now it is in the different countries, but in annexure 1. Right? So, let us say North America and South America. Let's say UK and France. They are linked. They are two independent governments. They are two independent countries. They can hook up because they are a part of annexure 1. So that is what we say is international emission trading. The most important for us in India is, or majority of the countries, is Clean Development Mechanism, CDM. It has been devised as a market-based mechanism to encourage the developing countries to reduce their emission voluntarily. We also try in our country to reduce the reductions and untradable credits in the form of certified emission reduction, CERs. It is like a check. It is like a certificate, like Indira Gandhi Vikas Patri. Same like a instrument is there, CER. It is a tradable. It can be sold like a share. It can be purchased by the developed nations to cover any of their shortfalls in their emission commitments. It means it is in a developing country, this is more valid. India at that stage, still it is developing, we say, compared to the West. So what we do here, when I set up an industry, I have a technology, use the energy, put carbon dioxide. In that process, because I am a producer, I have bent of mind that, I have an obligation to reduce this global warming. So what methodology I should use, what technology I should use, so that this emission gets lower. And if I do that, it means I am putting some machinery, some technology, something. Some extra money I am putting in that in order to control. Now, from where this money should come? On a global platform, when I am saving this much, a company in America who is putting more is obliged to pay to me as a subsidy for that machinery or technology. So that is what we say a trade between developing and developed countries. And trade has to be through an instrument, financial instrument. That instrument is now CER. How many certified emission reductions you have? How many tons of carbon dioxide you are having? This mechanism enables the willing entities in developing world improve their environmental performance, which the developed world pays for it indirectly. I hope this is clear. That it is an incentive for me to think that I should use that technology, I should use that methodology, so that my output of this carbon gases into the atmosphere should get reduced. And in that attempt, that money which I am putting in, I am entitled to get under Kyoto Protocol from the developed countries. In the market, they are sellable. Whatever the market price is, I can get that money back. So it means CDM is essentially a market. That's why I said carbon credit emerging industry means market. We are now in market. So the product is certified emission reduction credits. Like any other products, I have an input here, I have output here from the industry. Now in that output, I am earning now some CERs also. That is also a product for me, which I am selling and putting in my account in the balance sheet. So the product is certified emission reduction credits demanded by Annexure 1 parties. Industrializers, who will pay? Some dollars will come for that change. Supplied by the developing countries, party to Kyoto Protocol. It can be among ourselves also, but mostly it will be with the developed countries. Now CRs are credits added to Annexure B parties emission reduction totals through activities implemented via Clean Development Mechanism in partnership with countries with funding obligations. Who are the parties with funding obligations? Those who are developed. One, the developed countries. The other, here also some industry, Reliance may be, say, much more, just Samrit. They have to pay to me if I am reducing. Because if they are putting more carbon dioxide, but their level is 80, yesterday I said, so those 20,000, they should pay to me because I am using and controlling my carbon dioxide emissions. So this is what is the mechanism of CDM. Three goals of CDM are there. To assist the achievement of sustainable development, this is sustainable development is less carbonaceous gases in the atmosphere, so it is sustaining. To contribute to the attainment of environmental goals of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, because UNEP is the main authority of global level which looks over, and to assist Annexure 1 parties developed in complying with their emission reduction commitment. Because they are putting more carbon dioxide, so they part some of the money to the developing countries. That is the goal of CDM. What is this mechanism? CDM will generate certified emission reductions. What is it? It is 1 metric ton of carbon dioxide. You make a calculation how many carbon dioxide is born, make the metric ton. 1 metric ton is 1 CDM. So baseline greenhouse gases emission minus the actual emissions due to CDM activity. In graph I showed in that figure, some target was there. Above the target there were 3, yellow, red and so. So those were the emissions. So those are the CERs earned. Measurable emission reduction of gases with global warming potential entities in developing countries that are signatory to Kyoto Protocol eligible to earn CER. So developing countries that are eligible to control CERs. They can have the CERs, they can sell the CERs. And for gases with larger green, say, warming potential, global warming potential, proportionately higher credits can be earned. As I said, nitrous oxide or chlorofluorocarbon, 22,000 compared to 1. It means more units of carbon dioxide equivalent can be had. So 1 metric ton reduction of methane, for example, gives 21 CR, and 1 metric ton of reduction of nitrous oxide could earn 296 CR. Chlorofluorocarbon can have 22,000 CRs earned and so on. So requirement for earning carbon credits, you must have the willingness by creating additions like terms of clean technology, means less, say, emissions of carbon dioxide, that is clean technology. Emission reductions over the baseline conditions. Then careful determination of the baseline conditions. You must know what is the baseline conditions available when you are planning to set up an industry involving a particular technology, and sustained measurements and monitoring of such additions over time. Designated national authority. And procedures for this green development mechanism, 29 parties participating in CDM shall designate a national authority of CDM. This is already there, and every year it is going to review. Up till now, in March 14, these are there. In the first week of April, redesignations comes every year. So for India, National Clean Development Mechanism Authority is Ministry of Environment and Forest, Paryavaran Bhavan, that controls environment or ministry. So that remains the same. Now, what is this designated organizational entity, which I said Government of India and so on? Under this, CDM is either a domestic legal entity, it is a legal document, I can sell, I can purchase. It is an international organization accredited, it is valid on the international market. So it has to be accredited and designated by some executive board on the international level too. It has two key features. It validates and subsequently requests registration of proposed CDM project. Say, I am setting an industry. I put up a project for this CDM, so many CDMs, so many, say, CRs I need, or so many CR I have surplus or I have saved. And it verifies, this board will verify emission reductions of the registered project, certifies and appropriate and request the executive board. Executive board is now an international board. They will say, okay, it is for us, it is clear, you should give a recognition. So these are the steps involved in CDM project. You have to submit the project design document to the National CDM Authority, means Ministry of Environment, Government of India, or their designated sub-organizations. NEERI at these days is there. Project registration in the host country, wherever you have to, that ministry you have to submit. If it is Pakistan, it will be Ministry of Pakistan. If say environment in Pakistan, in India, it will be in India, host country, whatever is, where your industry is there. Project validation and registration by the executive board of this United Nations, I am saying international, for revenue. You have to submit through your government to that international bureau. Project monitoring I have to do by the host country. My Central Pollution Control Board or Ministry of Environment will do the monitoring. Host country. Verification and certification we will do, and then CRs will be issued. Because it has now my ministry's approval, my monitoring is there, my international certification is there, so I have now a legal valid document, a certificate of CR, which I can trade. Project design documents for this. This includes description of the baseline. Each country has its own. The technology to be used, monitoring technology to be used, analysis of the environment benefits that the project is intended to generate. These are the chapters you have to add in that project report. These are the consultants for CDM in India. PricewaterhouseCoopers, DNV, Ernst Young, Terry, and Windrock. These are the authorized agencies through which you can get validations of this on government behalf. These are the private. PricewaterhouseCoopers, it is an international firm, but in India it has a chapter. DNV is another. Ernst Young is another. Terry is more commonly used by all of us. The Windrocks are there. Terry is purely indigenous Indian. Now carbon trading. Under this, they are permitted to use trading system to help meet their emission targets. A country may allocate permits to individual companies for emission of certain quantity of greenhouse gases. And if the country is incapable of meeting these targets, it will conceivably buy the permits from the countries that are under their targets. So he can buy or he can sell. Companies within the country that prove more able to reduce their emission would be allowed to trade excess permit to others. Among each company also in the country we can trade. Emission trading. It is a market-based system that allows flexibility to select cost-effective solutions to achieve established environmental goals. Emission trading or carbon trading, they are indirect, because emissions is for all greenhouses, and one is certified, you can say CER business. So flexibility of mechanisms include use of carbon sinks or emission trading. You see, there are two ways. One is I am putting carbon dioxide excess or less and trading CER. The other is I plant trees around so that my carbon dioxide I am putting all right in excess, but that get absorbed on those plants. That is what we say is a sink. So in this, when these types of things are there, they can be either traded or you can say the emissions can be traded. It allows the countries and individual companies to buy or sell carbon credits created by activities that reduce their emissions. It is one and the same thing. But in one case, it is the exchange of carbon units. In the other case, it is a local consumption by the plantations as such. What are these carbon sinks which I just mentioned? These are pools that take up released carbon from another part of carbon cycle. Another part. One part is you are burning, you are putting, that is one carbon to carbon dioxide and so on. And in plant, carbon dioxide being absorbed and biomass is produced. So reduction is there. Under Article 3.3 to Kyoto Protocol, a planted forest which is established after 1st January 1990, because that was the base we thought, or previously cleaned land will count as a carbon sink. This is definition given. Whatever 1990 level was there of the forest, beyond that if you put something, that will be considered as the sequencer of carbon. Carbon dioxide sequencer, as such, a forest can be used to create carbon credits. It is very good for India. It is an agricultural country as well as a lot of forest lands are there. So it is a good route for us. The trade in carbon credits has the potential to make forestry more profitable and sustain the environment at the same time. So it has attracted many persons to have the forestry. Exchange for trading carbon credits. These are the exchanges, national and international. Exchange in UK, exchange in Europe, climate change, which is announced a licensed agreement with multi-commodity exchange in India to trade in pollution, and current prices of carbon range from 6 to 12 euro per metric ton of waste. As I said, daily they change, like any share. These are the projects which you can have. You can think also of your own. Use renewable energy, so solar system, windmills, hydro system, in hills, small hydro plants. These are all renewable energy sources. Then heat loss reduction systems, you may have insulations and so on, so that moisture may not be lost. Heat rate improvement techniques means complete combustion should be there, no carbon should go and so on. And so less fuel will be used, more energy will be coming and so on. And clean coal technology means completely by technique. Clean coal means not much of sulfur etc. should be there and nitrogen is there. Projects starting from the year 2000 are eligible for this CDM. Parties participating in CDM shall designate a national authority for CDM. Host party would decide sustainable development criteria. Means we have the government rules for sustainable development. Development of simplified modalities and procedures for small scale CDM projects are there. Nuclear projects they exclude is forestation business. We are not covered under this category. Now, all this said, now I'll give you a small case history. And that to my field personally, I have been a chemical engineer, I have been in industry. I found this that a lot of carbon dioxide used to go. So I opted for a small scale sector because in our state of Punjab, Haryana, not very big industries are there. So in a small sector or a medium scale sector, I consolidated my consultancy activities, and from there I got this foundry sector. You see, foundry sector has been identified as one of the major air polluting units, especially the cupola furnace. Most of these units fall in the small or unorganized sector with a limited capital base and inadequate technical capability. Foundry, a small cupola, worker is putting, heating, molting, and that is unskilled labor many times. That is a small scale. It is not an organized sector as such. About 80% of the units have the capacity less than 3 tons per hour of the molten, very small capacity. Total output is less than 100 metric tons per month. It's small foundry. Various studies have revealed that emission containing many particulate matters and sulfur dioxide from melting sections of such units are on high side. So when we studied those emissions of fuel, we found lot of sulfur dioxide is there, lot of particulate matter is there, lot of carbon is there, black smoke is there, and so on. We analyzed that, and we found that particular emission was so much. Sulfur dioxide 350, 500 milligrams per normal meter cube. Volumes generated per hour. Then temperature was around 600 range. Particulate size distribution also we have. CV. So this is a lab analysis data. You see, you must be recalling, there was a closure order of 212 cupola furnaces at Agra by Supreme Court sometime about 10 years back. That has put the tremendous environmental pressure on cupola furnace throughout the country. So in Mathura they were there, and the Taj was getting corroded. The Supreme Court ordered the closures, and when it is called, it's the unorganized sector, that thousands of persons are working in that. So there was a lot of unrest, and yes, because of the environmental pressure on the cupola furnaces. So this has resulted in an urgent need for identifying cost-effective air pollution control for cupola furnaces meeting the state pollution control board requirement. At this stage we came. Our work was to control, to design, to give the design equipment for control. But at that stage the government approach, because in Punjab there are so many Mandi Govinda nearby is full of those foundries and so on. So a lot of hue and cry was there. So there was an urgent need to do something. They cannot close and cause unrest. The socio-economic character was there. So they approached us. So Punjab State Pollution Control Board emission standards for Pipla, they have given, that is, they have given that okay, if it is a 3-ton furnace, so much is allowed, if more than 3, so much is allowed, or rate dust level, allowable dust level. For 50 milligrams per nanometer cube or 150 milligrams per nanometer. That is the goal, it's a state pollution control board has given. They are true for everywhere, more or less, but we got from Punjab State Pollution Control Board. So we studied the Pipla at that stage. So process involved melting of the material, molding, core making, sand preparation, metal pouring and machine. These are the steps in which that good starts. For example, any automobile vehicle, the Ferrari what we say, it has to be made. So you have to melt. So that is your melting. Then you have to mold. And after molding, in the mold you have to make those sand preparations in which that mold is to be made. And then you have to pour the metal, molten, and ultimately take it out and machine it. That becomes the part cylinder. So in Pipla furnace, melting of pig iron and cast iron is done with the help of hard coal. 1/3 of the heat supplied by the coke is available in molten metal. So whatever heat is produced, 1/3 goes into that molten metal. On an average, metal coke ratio has been found to be 5:1. 1 part of energy, 5 part of metal. That was used. In order to reduce pollution load and to reduce fuel consumption, an in-depth study was carried out in one of the foundries in Punjab. We took one foundry and we did complete study in that. And with the modifications in the air distribution system and improved metallurgical practices, this industry has enhanced its metal coke ratio from 5:1 to 9:1. For 5 kg metal, 1 kg coal, now 9 kg metal, 1 kg coal. You can see how much fuel saving is there. So it resulted in saving of 2.5 tons of coke per heat in 8 hours. It is a substantial gain of reduction of the fuels. Now, various identified and implemented in-plant control measures for lowering the energy consumption and reducing the environmental pollution. Now, I'll give those, what are the measures we took? We cannot eliminate the industry, we cannot change the industry, it's a small scale sector. We cannot throw the persons out. And so much business is there, so much demand is there. The dhyana is based upon this, all the boundaries of Mandi Govindan and so on. So, keeping in that, we took that foundry itself and identified what we can do so that we can reduce and cause this reduction in coal consumption. 8 small measure. You see, enough technology needed. First is control measure divided the cold blast Pipla. Convention was that air is fed through one row of tires at a height of about 4 to 3 from the base. You see, any MVT, if you look at the university, it has a grid. Over that you put coal. Pass the air from below, it burns. When it burns, lot of smoke comes and heat generates. That is the furnace, small scale furnace you can say. Now that smoke which comes, it is an unburnt carbon which is going into the atmosphere. We need energy to melt that metal. So what we put, that is one tier, what we say, one air blast. We bred another blast above the coal so that that unburnt carbon also gets burnt. So more energy comes. So that is the effect, and effect was high reacting temperature of the melt and low coke consumption. Less coke consumption was there. Then control measure effective height of the cupola. Normal is 12 to 14 feet. and then in the atmosphere. We said, look, if you increase it, some of the heat get retained inside, and that can be used and again affect the metal coke ratio. So we raised this chimney to 17, just 3 weeks more. Effect was better utilization of available heat in the molten state. Then control measure was limiting the amount of air. First, there was no arrangement of measuring the volume and pressure of the air blast. Generally, air supply used in excess. Blower lagaya and everything is going on. So we did some instrumentation on that. Means minimum required air has to be given. Otherwise, excess air is given, it will get hot and heat will go to the atmosphere. Whatever air is required, only that much should be done. So by instrumentation, we tried bringing it. So effect was higher tapping temperature and reduction in cold temperature. Then mechanical charging. Conventionally, we used to throw coal over the metal right there. But modification was that charging system and charging buckets. We use one time you do and do. Here, say frequently we used to do in a known bucket, a known amount of coal has to be added. So it saved automatic, it was now a bucket system, so it saved labor, reduces material handling accidents, enhances the life of the refractory, reduces particulate emissions, erosion of the factory, everything has been achieved. Fifth was control measure charging opening conventional cupola. When we have to charge, we have to open the lid. You can see this door size was 42 inch into 24 inch. We reduced it because when you open, lot of hot air goes outside. So reduce that. How much door is needed? Only that you have to limit. And this affects in less amount of air, in-gas air, and it maintains a high temperature. Otherwise, temperature used to fall. Then control measure, proper sizing of limestone and coke. Some limestone has to be added. So we used to have some small size of coke and limestone. Now, it's no particular size, but a size has been recognized by the analysis and is found that a bigger size of limestone should be used, so that relativity should be there, in-gas air should be retained, and so on. Effect was high quality casting and better combustion efficiency of the coke. Then weighing of raw materials, conventional cupola. By gas you used to have how much coke, how much metal, and so on. Now they are now fed on a stoichiometric ratio by weight. So this increases the metal coke ratio. Then we have the extended stack height beyond charging door. We increase the height. This created additional draft. As you increase the chimney, additional draft is there. That avoid chance of backfiring in the cupola. Conserved heat being emitted in the environment. So these are the steps which have been taken place, and you see what has happened. There are very small techniques which we have used. It is of course a scientific study, but small. So saving of more than 2.5 ton of coke costing at that time 10,000 rupees in each heat for a 3 ton per hour cupola. 2.5 tons we saved. The saving was 40% of fuel saving. Now you can say 40% of fuel saving means less carbon and hence less warming. My contribution is there to check climatic change. Metal coke ratio enhanced 5:1 to 9:1. Small amount of coke is to be used. So drastically reduced, you can say, consumption of coke and other improved metallurgical practices. Refractory on which you put the coal, that is also now increased. Melting capacity in general is increased because if I am using 5 tons of coal, more can be, so capacity of the cupola has been increased. So the modified cupola has a payback period of 4 to 6 months only. This technology has financially benefited 400 small cupola furnaces in the state of Punjab alone and has improved ambient air quality. This was the net result which we achieved in a town nearby in Chandigarh, Mandi Govinda, where 400 small scale cupola furnaces were there. Now you can see total consumption of coke in a cupola furnace on a national level is 3 lakh metric ton, all cupolas all over the country. Estimated net coke saving with the modified cupola furnace is 40%, means 1,20,000 metric tons of coke has been saved. Resulting reduction in carbon dioxide emissions, it is 1,20,000 into 2.5. That is the conversion factor I said for carbon dioxide from that coke. Yesterday in equations I showed that conversion factor. So it was 3 lakh metric ton. So CR earned 3 lakh metric ton all over the country. And at a rate of Euro 6 per metric ton at that time. Estimated amount recoverable under Kyoto Protocol was, you can see, 18 lakh euros, or about 10 crore rupees. In fact, 11 crores have been achieved as a foreign exchange, and this project will get to National Productivity Council, because individually we cannot do. As a consultant we associated. So this we got, and of course in return what we got is a small token, 1%, the total of 10 crore, saving 10% goes to the National Productivity Council, and its 10% goes to the Punjab government, and its 10% goes to the consultant. And in return I got that Paryawaran Rajiv Gandhi Award 2000. So this is a small saving towards the carbon capture. So what is in store for India? India, being a developing country, is exempted from the requirement of adherence to the protocol. It can sell carbon dioxide to the developed countries. Companies investing in windmills, biodiesels, cogeneration plants, biogas plants are the ones that will generate carbon credits for selling to the developed nations. These are the projects in which you can work. You can install a biogas plant, you are contributing to the norm. You can have a biodiesel plant, generations, means plantation in South we do, we get from there sometimes. Windmills are there in the coastal towns or hill towns, so they all are CERs. So friends, this is all I wanted to share. Any question? Very most welcome. Yes.
In India,
Zara loudly बोलेंगे तो.
in India, that are all the companies.
हाँ बोलिए.
In India, are all the companies obliged to?
I said no. At present not. It is exempted. But we can opt. Option is good. I said it is not obligatory, but as a social obligation we should have.
And you also found that this value varies from 6 to 12 euro.
Hello.
Conversion factor.
Hello.
So how it varies?
What we consider in next
Sir.
or first?
Sir, someone is asking questions, sir. Wait for a minute.
बोलिए.
Hello.
Yes.
What we consider in next first?
Annexure 1 is a list of the developing countries, developed countries, America, Europe, with highly industrialized countries. Are you hearing?
Yes, sir. We will consider only CO2 in it or sir, another GHG gas.
No, other gases converted to CO2 level.
Okay.
I showed in one of the slides. Equivalent amount.
Yes.
So one carbon dioxide, there are 22,000 chlorofluorocarbons. So we have to convert to the carbon dioxide level Whatever the
Yes,
number
sir.
comes, they are the CRs in terms of metric tons of carbon dioxide.
Through global potential, sir.
Through global potential.
How we can measure, sir, how much CO2 we are decreasing such type in Handia forest in MP? How we can measure, sir?
You cannot measure it, but on an average, for a plant, depending on the crop type of the plant, there are standards that how much absorption of carbon dioxide is there. This botanical, the botanists are given in encyclopedia, like for example, people tree is there, pica tree is there. So their units are given per year how much carbon dioxide they consume for their growth. That becomes for our calculation a base. They need not be remembered, they are given in that they will have to group.
On small scale, sir, we will measure suppose for CO2 decreasing for industry, then how we can measure, sir?
Measure can be done
For
in a small scale industry by measuring carbon dioxide you can absorb in any methanol, ethanol and solution and titrate that how much carbon dioxide has come. That is the standard technique for measuring carbon dioxide. But these days instruments are there. Straight you put in online and it gives how
yes,
much
sir.
carbon dioxide has come.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
As you told that this conversion factor, it varies from 6 to 12 euros.
It goes on varying year to year, time to time, day to day. For example, today in paper you need it is around 10.3. Economics times you read. I being a in this business I go on reading. Not today is 10 point. General range I said 6 to 10.
Can
It
you
is not.
explain that how it varies?
Like the common market, share markets are always changing. Since Sensex is always falling or increasing.
It's up and down.
Share today my share of a group is 500. Tomorrow it may be 700 or it may fall to 300. It is like a share market. Exchange is a share market.
And one more thing, sir, like you told that this by planting trees, the company can gain this carbon credits. So this tree plantation, the company has to done in its premises or anywhere.
Anywhere. That is why these forestry companies are coming. They can have anything, anywhere. Idea is only
Sir,
national. Yes.
you showing one slide, sir, CO2 exchange in UK and CDM exchange in European countries. So this is a tie-up between the countries or open market.
You see, no, it is a tie. Everything is in open market. In one
Yes, sir.
slide I showed in joint implementation. It is within the country the two companies are sharing. And IET, another slide I showed that it is exchange between the two countries, but they are a part of annexure one.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, but the university you can ask your question.
Yes, Aman. So good morning.
I will introduce the concept of acquisition trading after hearing your good speech. So that relates to energy drinks and soft drinks trading.
Right?
I would like to introduce this concept in the international environmental laws.
Yeah.
How I should proceed.
You see, international law. Again, explain your question, please. You just explain your question, please.
So I have introduced the concept of effervescence trading after hearing your lecture on carbon trading.
Yes.
So I would like to introduce this concept at international level and like to what are the customary laws for the soft drinks and energy drinks trading.
MMU Mulana, please mute your mic. MMU Mulana.
कोई माइक चल रहा है यहाँ बीच में.
Yes. Yes.
You see, I hope your question is that how can this concept be applied to put it on a international law? Am I right? Conversion of this carbon cadmium concept into an international law? Are you attempting that? Which law you are talking?
Yes, sir. From Baddi University.
Yeah. So sorry, there was some interruption in the audible range. I have introduced the concept of effervescence trading after hearing your lecture on carbon trading. So, sir, this relates to trading of soft drinks and addictive drinks across all over the world.
Right.
So, I'd like to introduce this concept at the international level in international environmental laws. So, how should I proceed?
You see, in my opinion, whatever CRs we purchased by you and the company is using in the soft drinks, they can purchase this and the law can be enacted. For example, let us say a Coca-Cola factory is using a carbon dioxide. How much carbon dioxide they are using? Convert them to CRs, and if some person is selling, they can purchase it or they can get the benefit of that carbon dioxide in that Coca-Cola production. So the law has to be enacted in that. It will be under the Industrial Law Act. This is my presumption. No problem.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Any further question?
They can put in also the question they can send to me.
You can give the email ID.
If there is still any question, you can pass it on to this TTI. You can get in writing the whole things, whole aspects. Any other center?
Any other nodal center have any question or query regarding this topic?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then we will reassemble after 15 minutes. We can have tea break now.